Welcome, beloved Ascension Pioneers, to another video episode with me. So today we have huge, very powerful winds coming at us, so they're circling all around. I'm going to have to raise my voice a bit so that you can hear me properly. You know, a lot of people sometimes complain about the sound of my videos, but this is how it is. As you know, I'm a nature being, so I like to most record outside in nature, so it is what it is. And the thing is that today, I would really like to talk about, bring focus to the conscious attention into how we make intention with the higher vibrational frequency through sound. So the importance of sound in our creations and in creation in general. So as we're walking this path of ascension, it is really important to know that on each level of our experience, we will be asked to enter a new level. So in that level, we're going to have to, kind of like broaden our perspective into how we are ascending in a way. So each time we will be given new tools and we'll be able to utilize them in a new way. So yesterday, as I was sitting in meditation for the new moon, for the new energies anchoring during the full moon in Scorpio, which was the Vesak moon, and was bringing a lot of things to surface, and it was, the enlightenment moon. And I was just having the messages coming at me, within me about receiving. And the guidance shared with me through Spirit was that it is really important to, when we make the intent, because a lot of people are guided to write in their personal journals or to make the intent or to enter a space of prayer. But what I was shared was that it is most important to work now with the higher aspects of creation. As you know, light, when we work with light, we work with the aspect of color. This is the same. So when we work in sound, it is very important to include the sound in our creation. So as you know, I was guided to do a lot of videos now on the aspect of sound and toning and speaking light language, receiving the divine words, and then humming them or toning them in a manner that is really high in vibration, and how important that is for our physical bodies at this time. So you will notice the difference if you do these exercises yourself. There is no other way than you try it yourself. But as I was sharing, this week I was seeing a lot of V shapes. As you know, V is the symbol of receptive state, of the divine feminine, of the divine mother, which receives and then births all life. So, the essence of everything, all forms of creation and creativity is the ability to be in the void, in that receptive V void. So as I contemplated on the word receive, when you're opening up to new levels of light, we have to know that releasing and receiving are both the same sides of the coin, two sides of the one coin. So a lot of the people then say, full moons are for releasing, new moons are for anchoring and integrating the new. But in fact, releasing and receiving are both, as I said, the same coin, two different sides, and they're both reciprocal. So as much as we release, then we can receive. But it is important to know that the aspect of receiving is not just asking for things to come. People say, please, universe, provide me with this. What is really the universe? And what is your substantial role in it? It's not like something outside of you that will give you something or provide you with something. It is your own vortex space that will keep you in that continuous open state of that, your own divine co-creation. So before you really enter that state, you might perceive things as, outside of you or linear, or, when you're ready, somebody will hand you out something. It doesn't happen. When you're ready, you will create it yourself because you will have the tools and resources to know how. So this is how it is. So as I was contemplating on the word receive, I was shared this guidance that what we can do with these humming and toning exercises is we just sit down, and as much as we would do a light activation or something coming through us at this time, instead of writing it down, or instead of saying, I am open to receiving all infinite abundance in all that is, or whatever you might think or perceive at that time, through your inner guidance, use a higher vibrational technique. How you align with that frequency. So everything is frequency, everything is pure things in ethereal sense that come into matter eventually. So when you're walking into greater and greater mastery of the self, you will learn how to work with that. You will become more conscious, So instead of, maybe you feel something is not yet fully aligned and you think, okay, I'm just going to write that I'm open to receiving it, I'm ready to receive it. But then in the end, it's not something external, it's not separate. In unity consciousness, we know that everything always comes from within us first. So what we can do is, you enter a space of that soul essence and you express it in your own divine way. So if you imagine how an essence of abundance would feel, you can feel what is the most specific thing that with you in your own soul messaging system, your own guidance, internal guidance system, which we call your intuition. What for you would most likely represent abundance for you, because that will instantly link you to the vibrational alignment with, of abundance, of that soul essence. So when you think of that or something, then try stepping into a higher frequency of that. So when we create beauty, we bring things to higher physical manifestation, so we open up. So it's important to surround ourselves with beauty. Beauty is one of the aspects when we actually amplify the levels of opening up to our intuition, and the wind is saying yes. So with that, when you create beauty, you paint, you draw, you make something that comes from within you. You don't just look at something outside of you. Well, one thing is when people were talking about creating collages of different things that resonated with a specific frequency for you. I'm just going to wait it out a bit because of the wind. That's one thing. That's one aspect of creating. But on another more expanded level, what you would do is you would create that frequency yourself from within your own vortex. Because, that thing might have been the trigger for you. You might, acknowledge some painter or a freelance writer or designer or, a free published artist or author. It doesn't matter. And that thing brought you deeper into your own frequency. But then when you start opening up to that more, you start doing it and recreating that beauty and to bringing those divine designs into matter yourself through your own inner vortex. That's one really important step. So that's one aspect, is through color. The other aspect which I mentioned is sound. So yesterday I was guided to, instead of feeling just, how I'm opening up, how I'm receiving, I was guided to tone the word receive. And as you know, the V stands for that opening, being in the receptive energy and in the flow, but not just being in the flow, being the flow. This is what it means to be in your own divine vortex. So when you tone that word, you will notice that in the end it has a very specific V, receive. It ends with the word V, not the word, the syllable, I don't know how to call it even. So it ends with that. So you can do is, you can amplify that letter V by toning it in such a way so that you do receive, and then you see a beautiful opening taking place. And as I was doing that, I was holding my crystal wand, and I could feel the energy moving through all out of my being. And this is what's really important now, is to, like I said, become really conscious of your words, how you speak them, how you address others, how you label things. One aspect, as you know, I always like to share about is the word channeling. So yesterday I read this newsletter from two people I really admire, because they're bringing through a Pleiadian perspective as well. And their work is called Larkma. You can even find their webpage. It's really nice. And when I'm looking at these things from other people who say they share from that perspective, it's very much in resonance. It's kind of very similar. It's just that they bring it through in their own unique way, of course. So they shared about this, when they make these connections, the constant connections that other people in the old would call channeling. They said it's just a conscious merge taking place within the higher mind and the heart of the divine, and you bring it through. So it's nothing separate. So you see, the word channeling, like they said, it's the old paradigm word, and it had a lot to do with the new age and these deceptions, and the power is outside of you. Bring it through your body, but it's not of you. It's not your own wisdom. And wisdom, like I said, it's universal. Divine mind and the heart of one, it's universal, it's for all, it's consciousness of all that is. You can't even imagine and fathom this, until you experience it as a state of being, okay? So it is really important to see that we're moving away from these labels as well, and this in terms will also contribute to how higher dimensional in experience we are, because we will leave the state of when we have to categorize and put boxes and labels to everything, and that always creates the kind of state of being when we can move beyond it. So when we say, I'm channeling this, sometimes people tell me, I channel. I do not channel. I never resonated with that word. So when I read that on their own page yesterday, really, really brought me to that knowing that this, I'm not the only one who perceives things like that. There's other consciously awake individuals who are sharing the truth. So what takes place is when you connect through your own soul awareness, it's a beautiful merge that's taking place. So it's a merge of your own higher selves. And and the higher self, that is your I am presence. So these are just aspects of you. There's nothing external, there's nothing linear, nothing dualistic here. Nothing is given to you, unless that which already is a part of you, you're just bringing it forth through the higher illuminated senses. So a lot of the manipulation on this planet, and a lot of the, there's a lot of people who are still being victimized, and they're still entrapped in that enslavement. And the reason why they can move forward is because, of course, they don't want to see. It would rock their boat. It would just make them too overwhelmed with everything, because they were denying it for so long, or they're not yet ready on a soul level for that experience to start taking place. But also, how this took place is that they manipulated the human consciousness. So the only war that was really being waged in the higher scheme of things was the war of consciousness. And this is how we were unable at that time to become the true empowered conscious co-creator. So I've seen the second Pleiadian perspective video today. Somebody sent it to me, and I think it's called 2014 Humanity is Ready, or something like that, for rebellion. And it talks about a lot of the facts that I've mentioned a few times in my videos and more. And what they shared is something I've already been telling you guys, that it's not that they fear, those who control, those who want to stay in power, those who want to be ruling, and they think of the human species as their own. They think they own them, they think they own their development and evolution, which is not really true. And until humanity itself, in a collective level, is ready to transcend that, then you know what it is. So what they shared is that they don't fear the weapons, they don't feel rebellion in a sense. So you go to the streets, you protest. They have their own weapons, they can do anything, This is not how you really fight back, because this means you're not ready to deal with all the information, with all the knowledge that once becomes available to you when you start waking up, those light codes within you. So, they don't fear that. What they really fear is your conscious awakened heart, is your awakened presence, because when you live in the space that is universal divine love, which moves beyond anything, which is all that is, that's when you become really powerful. So that's the kind of level of awareness they really fear. So when I'm sharing all these videos, and when you're doing your own work of devotions, know that when you do that for yourself, when you're activating a higher dimensional frequency within you, you're paving the way for those who are also ready. And it's going to continue to happen in waves, like the wind. It comes and goes. So all of this we do because we love the planet, we love the species as it is. It's supposed to be free, unruled, ungoverned, untainted, unmanipulated. So at its pure core level, this video that I was watching just before I went for this beautiful run, the only part that really triggered me in a sense, that when I start crying, when I know something is really true, and it really got to me through the heart, was when they said that there are levels that are beyond just what we perceive as the rulers, the Anunnaki, the elite, how we call them in many terms, because there's also forces that we can't always see through the higher picture. And these actually are those that I called the illumined ones. And these are above all this. They're beyond it because they transcended these, separateness and polarities in a sense of duality. Not the polarity that is neutral, that influences all the realms of experiences through divine love, neutrality, And when I heard that, I was beautifully reminded of that which Spirit always guides me to share within, which is the higher perspective. And as I was running, again, Spirit nudged me and said, you see, those that serve the truth of one, they always serve the higher perspective. They don't serve just a few of those that they think, we're going to save a few of those that are ready and then move on to the next thing. It doesn't happen this way with those who actually serve the law of one. Because a lot of times our human minds are influenced in a way that they don't have a proper understanding. So we might perceive something as bad, and we think this is not how things are supposed to be happening because we don't see the bigger picture. So what we do is we want to control it, or we judge it as something that we think it is. So we might say, well, why doesn't, a fleet of extraterrestrial just land at this time and save those who are ready, those who want to move on, and, get all the negative away, because it's not just how it's supposed to be. But don't you see that the higher perspective beings who serve the law of one, they don't just see those beings. They also see those who are the so-called perpetrators. and the victimizers. They don't just see the victims, they see all as one. So they also see those fallen Anunnakis, you know, as those that we portrayed as gods, and the fallen gods and the fallen angels and all of those terms that we have given them. And the thing is that those beings and those of us who work within that law of unity consciousness, we don't just see the smaller perspective of those who are in favor of the light. We see all, because all were originally birthed through divine love, even those who have maybe been playing the games of manipulating others and feeling they're responsible for them, and they have in charge the evolutionary process. So why I'm sharing all of this with such devotion, always in my life, always putting these things first, you know, and neglecting a lot of other things because of the love for this, is because of this. And it's not just for the love of those who are sending and volunteering and doing all this, but also for the love of those who might wake up as well, but we just don't think of it like that, because we think, oh, you know, they're set to doom anyway. It is just not how it is. As you see, I'm going to give you one example. Let's say that a group of people would really want to experience such thing as landing of the fleets, or saying this is disclosure, although, you know, disclosure is really what feels from within. You already know of the species, you already know of the life in all forms in creation. You don't need proof in physical terms. So disclosure in higher picture is not what we say. It's not ships landing, you know, en masse. So let's say a group of people would want that, and they would say this would benefit us at this time really greatly. But let's say they're not seeing the higher perspective that is behind. And the higher perspective always includes the highest potential to be expressed. So let's say in the scheme A, in this scenario, you would have this happening, but it will only affect, let's say, maybe 50% of the people involved. And let's say there's another plan, and remember, the councils of light, they always incorporate everything. They always consider every single fact, every single detail. And those councils are overseen by higher councils, and it's always more and more expanded. You know, up to the point of the one that you know, oversees all. This is what we can't fathom at this experience at this time. So I'm really getting excited when I talk about these things, because it's so close to me, you know, the nature of the higher perspective. And the reason here being is, let's say the scenario B would be, let's wait a bit longer and let's leave it up to more factors to unfold. Those factors that most wouldn't even consider yet, because they cannot perceive them, because their consciousness is not activated to that level yet where the divine mind would get those ideas, would get that guidance yet. Okay? So a lot of times people say, why didn't this happen? You know, why weren't we taken care of? Why weren't we overseen? Why weren't we assisted? Why are we still suffering this? You know, the reason for things to unfold in such a way is because of that higher perspective. It's because there are more lives involved here, and more souls to be enlightened in that matter and come back, return to the source of one and divine love, is because of that bigger picture. It's just how it is. And a lot of times we will not see it as such, and we will want things to happen our way and what we think is best. But remember, we're here in the physical bodies, and what we're guided here to do on our path of ascension, when we're ascending the self in our body and we're grounding and embodying the soul more and more, is we're assisting those who are also open and ready to perceive that bigger perspective. So when I share about these things, like how you can reach the level of higher attunements, and remember, when you'll be reaching the higher space of attunement, you'll be communicating with the higher realms, because the rule is always, you gotta come close to their level. People who don't, they will always only source things from the higher, the lower astral realms, because that's all they can attune to at their level of frequency. That's how their density reflects, and that's what it attracts right back. So when you become a higher vibrational being yourself, and a lot of that, like I said, has to do with light, working with color and the sound. And when I share these things, it's not just, just some random sharings. It's our conscious devotions that are very much needed. All this effort, it's not in vain. A lot of the times we look at things how they are, but remember, nothing is ever as it seems. Ever. Because on this level of third dimensional experience, and moving beyond, of course, but on this level, you don't see all as it is. We're still masters in the making. We're masters of the process. So these are years of self-mastery, of attainment, of devotion, of learning how to really consciously integrate discernment without judgment, and unity consciousness without any separation, and working with our body, the physical body, with color, sound, light, and this will help us to create those higher forms of being. And a lot of it, like I said, has to do with beauty. When you bring beauty into the world, your psychic senses expand. And this is what happens. Every artist is actually half psychic. It depends how they then deepen that work and how they work with awareness with those psychic gifts. Like I said, psychic gifts are nothing without awareness. So when this takes place, know that all these factors are important. And there's a lot of people who might only share the darker perspective. There's also a lot of people who would only see the lighter perspective, and they never mention anything dark. Anunnaki, no, they're all made up. This doesn't exist because we don't see them. But there's also those of us, Ascension Pioneers, we know. We don't need proof to know things because we know straight from the divine mind, and we feel through the divine heart. And we're grounded in our merged presence of one, and we know things because we do know. Because we activated that level of soul awareness that we're ready to know. And so those of us, we're walking into our self-mastery through those darker aspects. I'm really connected with the dragon archetypes lately, and dragons are all about, slaying our inner demons and dragons and really stepping into our courageous self, the bold power, the self-mastery. It has to do with the element of fire, but also ether, because the dragon masters all of the basic 4 elements, and although we see them as, breathing out fire, and they're also masters of ether. They're ethereal beings. They work with our ethereal nature. So when we connect to them, we connect to them in spirit form. And their energy is really making themselves known to all of us now here, and how to work with them in the aspect. And, we got to embrace those aspects without fear, because this is the only way that we activate our own inner power and courageous self as well. So there are also those of us who walk in self-mastery, not just through the aspect of dark or the light, but we regain the neutrality of both. So imagine all the challenging experiences that seem dark to you. You've used them for your advantage. This is why the aspect of neutrality is needed. You use everything for your advantage, for your personal enlightenment, and living it in the body. And make it known to other people as well, those who are ready, who will come into your path, and you will be challenged as to how you will share your gifts this way. So there's a huge importance in all of this. And the most responsible part we have to play at these years of transition is to really live in that grounded sense, to do those exercises, to devote enough time, enough space, because there is no time. Time is just like a dimension of its own, until it's needed to walk through that experience. But it's just something that we need to master, that we always need enough sacred space for those things that are really, really essential to make your body susceptible to enough light that you can stay connected to those higher realms, that you can bring them forth in the body. So the importance of sound, which I shared, is one of those things, is one of those key factors. There's also a lot of others. And especially because when we open up more to seeing things as real as they are, and having that trust, to trust the spirit side, what it shares. Your mind might say, I don't like this. Why am I not getting things this way? Am I not, supposed to be living a reality this way? And the spirit side of light says, of life, I meant of life. The spirit side of life says, but it's already all perfect, because even those experiences that you're feeling now they're testing you in a way that you will be more grounded. You will have experiences that will make you be more vigilant and brave in the way you share. Because Earth, how Spirit shows me, will need a lot of us who are now still in training. That's what we feel sometimes, that a lot of things are not happening yet in a way that we might have perceived, Because we're visionaries, we see in advance, we have the marks of seership, so we feel sometimes things in advance. But our spirit knowing has to be always present and deeply rooted in the now moment. So it's very important to be integrated in that soul awareness. And like I said, we're kind of like in training. And Earth, at some certain pivotal point when things reach the critical culmination point of the mass, because the mass moves denser, it moves slower. There's a lot of us who are like peeking out like dandelions, all isolated there in the meadow, looking at, there's another one up there in the distance. But it's kind of like dispersed on the planet. A lot of times we perceive it as distorted. We don't always know the meaning to everything, and we don't always see behind the scenes. But trust me, the divine intellect knows best. And like it was shared today, there's a higher perspective that even outrules, but it's not in ruling. It's just that it overrides it because it's a more expanded level. Even those that you might feel right now are in control of you, in power of you, and how conditions and terms in society are now on this planet. It's not this way. It might seem to be this way for now, but things are already shifting, and they're shifting because of you, because of me, because of all of us together who are opening up to that higher perspective. And remember, when you will be the initiate of the higher perspective and you will be living through the laws of one, you will sometimes just have to be enduring enough to endure these certain circumstances that your mind might perceive as negative, or you don't understand them, but there's a reason behind it. And once you might, be walking in the mountains and there's a situation happening and you're needed, you're called, and you might remember at that point, wait a minute, I had this experience, it's what made me stronger, and I can use it now. That's why it happened. That's why it was there, present. My soul doesn't provide me with anything that is meaningless. It's always meaningful. So, when I talk about the importance of your spiritual initiations, of your inner rites when you walk your journey, of your sacred devotions, of your tonings, of your inner exercises, when you exercise the body to become a stronger muscle, to be able to hold more light, more spirit. This is nothing that has to do with you seeing the external picture and saying, well, maybe it's all in vain because, the dark side is winning, or, all these things. Always remember the bigger picture. Always remember that there's something greater behind everything, and that greater has the love for all aspects of creation, all that was birthed, all that was created, not just those who are in favor of the light at this time, who are awake and aware, who have remembered who they are. No, the divine source makes no separation. The divine source loves all. And this is the love that is cosmic, that is true, that we need to activate. And when we do, nobody has nothing against us. Like I said, we become untouchables, we become invincibles, and we really start to affect things on a deeper level. Remember always that higher perspective. Work with your devotions, work with sound, tone your words, feel into what is the essence of the soul you wish to embody at this time, then bring it through your body. That's the important part. Okay, the wind got really strong now. It's saying yes. Yes to all life. I love you all so much. Stay tuned and connected to next time. So much love, wisdom, and power from my higher heart and the mind of the divine of one to yours all together as one. Bye-bye.